Grandfathers and grandmothers, creator ancestors, we ask that you're here with us today and that you watch over us and you take care of those that are coming still to be with us, to be a part of this celebration of life, of strength, of all of the things that we've come here, of mourning, of resistance and resilience. We ask that you continue to take care of us and you watch over our families and that you bring us together in good ways always, and that we leave this place filled, our hearts filled with love and hope for the next 7 generations and beyond. And I just wanted to offer a prayer to begin us. We have sage here. This is California white sage, which is in Southern California. And oftentimes when we gather in these kinds of ways, we have this smoke, and the smoke actually helps us to ground ourselves so that we're all here and present with one another. And so I'm going to ask my daughter and my grandson and my niece to take this around while I'm saying a prayer, and then I'm going to pass this back on over to Debbie. Grandfathers and grandmothers, creator ancestors, we ask that you're here with us today and that you watch over us and you take care of those that are coming still to be with us, to be a part of this celebration of life, of strength, of all of the things that we've come here, of mourning, of resistance and resilience. We ask that you continue to take care of us and you watch over our families and that you bring us together in good ways always, and that we leave this place filled, our hearts filled with love and hope for the next 7 generations and beyond. We thank you for this water that's coming down from the sky that nourishes everything on this earth. We ask that you continue to take care of us and watch over us when we go home to our families tonight. Oh, 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 oh. So we stand here today to talk about this altar, and I'm trying to catch my breath from listening to all of the deep and moving stories from all of these sisters from across the world that have been suffering for so many years. When we came up to the idea of doing this altar, I said I'm not an artist, and so I got 3 artists to work with me. So Aurora Mamea, she worked all week on putting together this beautiful altar that signifies the many missing and murdered Indigenous women that are across Turtle Island and Canada. And in here it symbolizes all of the different medicines that come from 4 directions of the places. It wasn't until 2014 that President Obama actually signed a law that made it illegal for people to basically hunt Native women on reservations and not have to deal with consequences because they were non-Native men that were doing it. 1 out of 3 Indigenous women are raped every year, and so for me as a mother of 2 young women, that hits close to home. There are thousands of Native women that are lost, and no one's looking for them. And so this represents, on this ground here, represents the women that are found, and it represents all of those that are lost. And my friend Janella Rose is the one that did this piece. Vicky Montano, who's here, did the outline for it. The very bottom of this dress represents the women who are lost. Their names are on there. And the little red squares are what we use for tobacco ties, for our prayers. So we remember them that are lost. In this basket of medicine, there's a little flashlight, and it signifies a light that continues to be lit for those that need to come home. There are thousands of women that aren't reported. There are thousands of women that continue to be lost, and no one puts up any signs saying they're missing. There's nobody that is looking for them on the news media. It's because of the settler colonial project that started here on our land that we are still being used as weapons of war in our own lands. And no one's talking about it. And so women have been coming together over the last few years and really standing up. My sister here is wearing a ribbon skirt in red to signify the missing and murdered women, and that we stand with them. When the women came together to create Idle No More in Canada, it was about standing up and saying that we are still here and that we have a voice and that we are not going to stand idly by to be the bodies anymore. So when I stand here today, it's very difficult to talk about the things that continue to happen on our land. That what happens to our land when our land is taken advantage of, when our land is raped, the same thing happens to women's bodies all over the world. One of the things that we were taught in ceremony was that it is now the time for women to stand in their rightful place in this world. That it is time for us to stand in our power. It is time for us to stand not as equals but as partners with the men that are in this world. It is time for us to have the voice for our sisters and our aunties and our grandmothers and our mothers and our daughters and our granddaughters. It is time for us to do that. For so long, men have come and used land as a way of ownership of our bodies as well. And so now it is the time for us to stand up against the wars of humanity, the wars that affect our children and our grandchildren, that have affected us all. It is our special relationship with the land as women, as caretakers of medicine, as women that hold water in their body to hold the next generation of children to come, to stand up and to say no more. And so when we stand here in solidarity with our sisters that are missing, we say to them that we will hold your children and your grandchildren. We say to their mothers that are that have lost their children, that we hold your hearts with ours, and we will not put them down on the ground. We say that we stand in prayer and solidarity, and we will fight against the systems that continue to invisibilize us and use us as cannon fodder in this war against our bodies and our lives.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Aurora Mamea from the Blackfeet tribe in Montana, residing out here for the past 20 years, 22 years. Part of the Relocation Act. My grandparents came out here, and I'm first born granddaughter out here, first born generation granddaughter, the Bay Area. And so this altar, I put a flashlight, and I don't know if Corrina mentioned it, but the flashlight's on there to help our sisters find their way back. And some angelica root inside the shell to represent our California Native relatives and ancestors, and our prayers through our tobacco ties and our tobacco and our lighter, so we can make that offering for our prayers. I put a beautiful little beaded hair piece for our sisters to put their hair up. Some northern sage and 4-direction color rock, and some other little medicines there. I kind of mixed a little bit of when I first made my altar at home, I was a little conflicted with, I didn't want to put Christianity, on my altar. I was conflicted, because of the past traumas of our people, what they've been through. And how I came around is I remembered my mom, who passed last May. And my mom, she always like accepted all religions, anything that helped us and brought us closer to Creator. So I was like, okay. And we always grew up with different Buddhas around the house. And I really related to the skull here, how we have Dia de los Muertos and can connect with our loved ones on that day. And these little prayer pieces here, Mom would always say to carry them for prayer. She always believed in the different like St. Jude, and your prayers will be heard and stuff, and when you ask for your prayer. And so American Indian Movement pin up here just to represent the struggles our people have been through, and honor the American Indian Religious Freedom Act that we're now, as of 1978, able to freely practice our religion. And so I just wanted to say too that in the early days, so we come from matriarch society, and there was a time when the women carried the ceremonies, and when colonization came, they knew that there was a change coming, so they turned it over to the men and asked the men to hold them for a while. And the time has come that the ceremonies get turned back over to the women, and to carry that. And so I know Corrina said a lot of really good words I could connect with, and she mentioned about loving our brothers as well too, and helping them heal, our men, helping our men heal as well, and being able to find healing within ourselves so that we can also help our men to heal in a good way too. And so I have this beautiful little eagle plume here, and just different little medicines to bring it together. And I just want to thank you, for making this time here. I don't know if you ever seen this shawl that the woman has on. It has like all the many. It was a real piece of artwork. That there's all the many faces of the women that are missing, right there. But yeah, I just want to say thank you. I don't know if she mentioned the shawl here. We had a Missy Murdered Indigenous Women ceremony honoring dance at the Two Spirit Powwow, where the women were able to come up and write on it, if they have a loved one, somebody missing, in honor of them. And those are the writings on the front. All right, thank you.
I need to take pictures. Hold on.